Yo, yo, it's a ferry. Hey, it's windy today, and that's why there's wind. So you think you want to be a ranch ferry, huh, and run things? Chainsaw, corn, coon traps. I got 2 cameras that need to be worked on. I got a feeder that's not working. Everybody thinks this ranch running thing is a hoot. So we're going to run around on the scooter and go do some random day with the ferry, because it's not a list of what's happening down here. It's a scroll. And the scroll keeps on rolling. Just for fun, the last group didn't bother to put gas in the scooter. 200-yard target. All right, so I got cell cams right over there, and this feeder's been going off wacky times. I mean, it's just part of the maintenance. Everybody thinks this deer feeder hunting's easy. You just go put up a deer feeder and kill them, and if they don't work right, then you don't kill them, and it's kind of frustrating. So we're going to see what the timer says. Well, it's an hour off because the time changed. Stupid America. Why don't we just stop doing that? So that's why it's going off at wacky times. I asked somebody to change this, and they didn't. So I got to change everything. All right. All done. Next, got a camera that's not behaving. So a cow must have hit this thing or something. It's loose. Great. But I got to work on this feeder anyway, and of course, I forgot my tools. So now I get to go back and get tools. Now, the other feeder that I was just at needs corn. Some of that stuff you can't figure out until you get out here, and you got to go, what's the problem? And then you figure out the problem and you fix it. So back to camp. All right, back at camp now that we know what we need. It's always fun. Like I've tried in the past to guess, and I end up coming back to camp for something. So need some corn. And tools, and my coffee's right there. Forgot that. There's just about everything in it. Screw guns and all that good stuff. Ferry stuff. Don't be a dumbass. And we mentioned earlier there was no, half a tank of gas. There's gas in camp, so that's good. I always add a little shot of Staybill just to keep the gas good. It's been run a lot lately, but never hurts to add that in case it sits for a while, a month or so. And keep the scooter running. If I have fuel problems, I've got to take it to town. And that sucks. I don't like going to town. I come in here and go to the ranch. In the hole, it's fine. Got plenty of gas. Just keeps the scroll keeps rolling. So here's the problem with the raccoons is All that dirt you see in there, that's all raccoons grubbing around. This is somewhat of the pigs rubbing on it, but it's also the coons climbing on it. And last year when the hunting public was here, they hunted here and saw pigs. And the next day, those wires were pulled out of there, literally the next day. Those wires were pulled out right there. And the feeder didn't work, so they're annoying. And then they also, hurt the birds. So what I'm planning to do is I've got chains and cable, and I'm just gonna wrap the traps around a tree around here. You can see the pigs are rubbing on the trees like crazy in here. I'm just gonna put like one there, one there, one over there, just try to keep them separated and bait them and set them here, and then I'll come back tomorrow. Got Duke dog trap and a piece of cable with a quick link, and I'm just going to link the cable to the tree and then stick it in the ground. And like I said, separate them by about 8 or 10 feet. All right, I got some delicious marshmallows. I'm gonna stuff one down there by the trigger, so they got to grub around a bunch, and then I'm gonna top it with corn, because I mean that's what they're used to doing here. So put the delicious marshmallow in there. And I'll do that to all three of them. I'm gonna pour corn in the top. Okay, I got the traps all set up. I got chain and some cable on some. I got them doubled so it doesn't pull so hard on the link. And then a couple of delicious corns in there. Traps are armed. Okay, we'll come back tomorrow. All right, so here we go. That solar panel's been up there forever. And just because the raccoons get up there and fart around and hang on the cage and dig around, they got nothing else to do, I gotta fix that. Fun, huh? For you guys with tripod deer feeders, that's a trampoline spring from the trampoline inevitably your kids destroyed. And that has really saved a lot. They still can reach through the cage, but the cage doesn't ever break off or anything. The screw-in pieces and the metal that goes into the bottom of the barrel tends to wear out. But those springs, if they pull one side down and let go, it snaps back up. And that's a pro tip. You might want to put springs on your legs, rig them however you can, and it really helps. Okay, as noted, this wire is just to support the cable. It's not electrical or anything. My electrical looks intact, so I don't think I'm gonna have to do any electrical work, but this is just raccoons climbing up the poles, and then they get on the cage digging around, and they just are unsupervised and they tear crap up. So I got to take the cage off and fix that. And this is stuff you'll never predict. You have to come out here, bring tools. Luckily I have the tools to do this. Sometimes you get out here and go, good God, I just wanted to fill deer feeders. Now I got to go back to camp. I'm pro at that. God bless self-tapping screws. So I keep these in my toolbox with my drill all the time. So all I'm going to do is, the fastest way to do this, I looked in the box and there's nothing in the back panel there that matters. So I'm going to run tech screw right through the solar panel and drive it in there, and that'll hold it up. But if you don't have the tools and you don't have the tech screws, you have to go back to camp. I do have experience. That's why I have some of this stuff in my toolbox, because stuff breaks all the time. Okay, problem solved so far. Now the important part of this is the solar panel works if it's hanging. Obviously, now it's super steady. But the wires were exposed here, so being raccoons, they're a pain in the butt. They could have reached in there doing nothing. They're not supervised, but I've got surprises for those guys. Oh yeah. I'm gonna get rid of them. At least put a hurting on them. But anyway, another thing solved. And that's a thing that wasn't on the list because I didn't know it could be on the list. It's a scroll. Okay, it never stops. I already had the feeder halfway down, so I decided to look in it, and it only had like a bag and a half of feed in it. And some folks were supposed to fill feeders about, well, it was 2 weeks ago, so it should have been full to the top. I don't think the raccoons have eaten 400 pounds of corn. So the 3 bags of corn I had for the other project, for the other feeder that I was at earlier, I had to put in here. See? You gotta wanna do this stuff. For all you spoiled rotten brats that just go to the damn ranch or to whatever hunting leash you have and you've got a ranch ferry and you just go, that guy does everything. It's great, we just show up and the feeders work. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's why you don't want to be a ranch ferry. Cable just snapped. So the feeder's dead. Okay, more stuff. See the grass growing around the AC unit? Some of that stuff is vines and it gets tangled up in the thing. And if you don't spray the stuff out, well, me and my son built the cage around it so the cows wouldn't break it. That was the first thing. And every 2 or 3 months I got to spray inside the cage to keep all the weeds out, because if you let them get tall, then they get taller, then the vines grow and they screw up the AC, and that means I got to fix it. And by the way, the overhead light bar cool guy thing with all the speakers on top of the scooter isn't working either. It just never stops. That's usually a trip to town where I got to sit out here and chase wires, but that'll be for another day. Right now we're spraying pesticide. I haven't been here 24 hours yet, just saying. Okay, so yesterday I fixed the solar panel on a feeder. And that's the feeder that I was going to replace it with. Went out to fill up the feeder that I'd fixed the solar panel on. 300 pounds of corn fell and smushed everything, so the feeder died. I had one in camp and I had been intending to do it the easy way, which was empty the feeder and get the tripod feeder out of there, but I didn't do it. And it was on the scroll that kept unrolling with the other duties. I am 24 hours into my little trip and it just never stops. Yeah, well, the cable snapped off. Went through the hole up there. It's on the ground there, so I was gonna try to wire it in and just get it off the ground, but no, of course not. So I'm gonna have to put that feeder, barrel's full, of course, and the only thing I could figure to do was shovel the corn out of this thing until I can move it around. Don't be a ranch fairy. Just show up, everything's set up, it's way easier. I mean, like way easier. Okay, I had to go back to camp. I found this box that was kind of square and it would fit in between the bar and that barrel. It was a lot faster than a shovel. So, feeder's dead. Real dead. There's a bar in between that barrel and you have to figure that out. The shovel was working and then it wasn't working. So, miraculous bucket I found laying around camp. And that was able to get between the bar and the side. The feeder's installed. This particular tripod, because of that flat piece of metal up there, is super dangerous by yourself. Trust me, I've had it fall. I was standing out here one day and one of them fell right next to me, and I realized that thing weighs about 50 pounds up there, 40 pounds, and death isn't good. Mrs. Fowler needs me for another few years. There's not enough life insurance. So we're gonna leave it like that. I got some friends coming out in a few weeks, and we'll pull the tripod, but the feeder's running. Well, let's go find out what else is gonna break. All right, except for the tire that I'm sitting on that's low on the trailer. Never stops. It just smushed the motor. So the barrel's actually in good shape. I'm at the dump, and I'm gonna unscrew the motor and keep the barrel because you can redo the wire, which I should have done a couple of years ago, and use the feeder maybe. But it's not as bad as I thought, so I should have looked at that, but you know, whatever. I need to put some air in this tire I'm sitting on because it's kind of spongy. Always something. So some of you might think I'm doing this just for complaining, and the truth be told, there's just people like me all over the earth who are caretakers of things and stewards of what's they're allowed to take care of. It's a biblical thing, but we don't we just can't stand to see stuff messed up. It's got to be set in a certain way. Things need to work, and it's our responsibility to do that. By the way, this doesn't happen every time. About every third trip or so, maybe every fourth trip, I have one of these days where it's just like the force of whatever's against me. And there's 15 things, little things that happen. It is what it is. So if you ever think you want to be part of one of these things, meaning a ranch or a lease or whatever, just know there's probably somebody, it could be you, out there who does all this stuff. As you can tell, I'm talking to the camera and I'm still piddling because there's about 10 things in this container that I need to straighten up. And it's just part of who I am. It keeps things running, makes things run nice, and then I have a certain personal conviction on the way things should operate. And that's just a burden that I carry. I know that about myself. So it's not really frustrating. It's just every third or fourth trip I get down here, all of a sudden one of these things happen. The other 2 or 3 I put some corn out, nothing happens, everything's running fine, maybe some odds and ends. For instance, right now, we have this cool top on our scooter with speakers and Bluetooth and a light bar and all that. It's out. I'm not gonna be able to fix that this trip, and that drives me crazy. But it is what it is. There's a pig needs some shooting, so I'm gonna go do that later. I got about 2 hours before that's gonna happen. Never shot one with a crossbow before, so, you know, hey man, you gotta have experiences, so I'm gonna blast one with a crossbow. So stay tuned for that. Hey, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, hit subscribe and leave comments below. If you're one of us, one of the caretakers of the world, and we have a stewardship issue that it's just part of who we are, then cheers to you. See ya.